I really do appreciate you for taking your time out. Today, we'll kind of keep it light. We did have quite a few of our providers who were participating in a training somewhere else. So, this should not be long. Um, Again, welcome. Thank you all for participating. We do have a guest speaker for today, and he may not be long, but we did just want to kind of just give you all the opportunity to hear from additional providers out there just to kind of see what they have going on at their facilities or their agencies. And hopefully that can inspire you, or you can ask some additional questions, or you can give us some additional feedback on what you're doing at your agencies. And so, with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Charlie Arnold. Charlie, I'm gonna let you go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are and how long you've been there. And we're so happy to see you, and we miss
Hey,
you, Charlie.
oh, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I have been with Southern Christian Home here in Morrilton, Arkansas for just about a year and 2 weeks. So I just now know and figuring out that I don't know what I don't know. But but I know that we've all been there, and but for the past before I started with the Southern Christian Home, I worked with the licensing unit for 9 years or 10 years, and before that, I was with DCFS since 2001. So I have that side of the of my career, and now I'm sitting at the other side of the desk, and I sign the 521s on the other side instead of where you were normally signing them. So there's been a it's been a, a different uh, different perspective. Um, we are one of a smaller agency right now, but we have big plans. We are a residential facility. We have three cottages that are open right now. We're always we looking for relief house parents. We're looking for uh, resource homes. We do have our placement license, and we're doing a lot of work recruiting through our um, churches and trying to build a network to identify foster homes slash resource homes. I'm trying to get that terminology as we changing DCFS is changing to resource homes, but our program here we have um, uh, our three cottages here on campus. We have a farm out at Overcup, and we have a cottage out there, and we have a horse program where we can take our kids and do some equine therapy with them, let them groom the horses and different things. We also have a cow calf operation. We have 30 mama cows and calves, and so that supplies us with red meat during throughout the year, and we can sell some of the herd as well. Those have been this has been going on for a long time that they were donated. We have a big pond, so we can. They've had cardboard boat races out there. They've had we can go take our kids fishing whenever we want to, need to, would like to. I know some of our house dads are out there in the hunting woods and things, and so we just try to make this as near normal atmosphere as possible. Um, we take children from privately placed children. We take most of our children are from DCFS, but we also have taken in the past children from juvenile detention centers and the JDC programs as well. So um, we another thing that we have here is our we have a school on campus, which is an alternative learning environment, which is a cooperation with Archford and the South Conway County School District. So we have three teachers. Uh, and they're all certified. They are employees of Arch Ford. One of them's through Arch Ford, one of them's through the South Conway County School District, and then we have one on our payroll as well. But so whenever we take a child in on a placement, um, our plan is that they would automatically just go into our ALE because we don't know where they are um, developmentally. We don't know. A lot of times their grades are are not there. We can't find them, so we can take this first semester that they're placed with us and do all the assessment and the testing and getting them up on grade level. Um, but if we have a child that's taken from this area and is already in the Morrilton School District, and they're doing well, then we will just automatically leave them there. There's no reason to change their classes if they're doing well in class. But we all know that most of our kids um, have not been going to school. They're behind um, for whatever reason. But there is a reason why they're needing a different place to live. So and a lot of times we're finding that their behaviors they're okay academically, but their behaviors do not allow them to stay in a classroom with 20 or 30 kids. And so we have special all of our teachers are special ed certified, and I don't understand all of that. I just know that they have that a lot of extra training to be SPED certified. So we have that. We are focusing in as we are starting to gear up. We've just hired a new set of house parents. We've got them trained, and so we are looking for another set of house parents, and we'll start taking placements in. And how we do that is um, to involve the house parents in that process before the kids get here, as we have an application that they go through. We, as the social service staff, me, my caseworker, my assistant, my counselor, we also have a counselor on staff. We'll go through all these applications, weed them out. We know our personalities of our house parents, what their strengths are, what they are capable of, and we're going to try and match those things up. And what we're wanting to do, and what hasn't been done in the past before I got here, was the house parents being involved in that process, at looking at the applications and saying, okay, we think that these 4 children would be good for placement here. What do you, as a house parent, how do you think that this child would fit into your home, into your cottage? Because whenever you add another person, everybody in your household may be stable and everything's worked out fine, but you add that one extra person, and all of a sudden the balance is tipped in one way or another. And so we're cognizant of that, and we hope to do a better job in stabilizing and maintaining, and not taking 5 or 6 kids at a time, taking a sibling group of 1 or 2. Um, but those are the big plans that we have. We also have our cottage, or in what we call our lighthouse. It's a duplex. It was built in 2016. Every room is an individual room, and each bedroom has its own bathroom. And so we're going to use that as our independent living, looking at 14 to 18 year olds, and to put them in there so that they can uh, um, so we can meet their needs. Because that we're finding that foster homes, there's the little kids get into foster homes a little quicker, and I know that's a stereotype, and that's not always true, but it seems like they're always looking for placement for the 14, 15, 16 year olds. And so we're hoping to be that type of placement. and we're looking for long-term placements. We just this past year was the first time that in Southern Christian Home in a long time that we had 3 seniors graduate from high school, and 2 of them are in college now. One's at Arkansas Tech, one's at Harding University, and one he's gone and gotten himself a job. He's discharged and he's uh, living his best life. He's bought himself a car. He's living on his own. He's seemed like he's making this life work. So we're proud of all of them. But they're typical 18, 19-year olds, and the daddy of me wants to come out and say, you really need to be doing this, but we got to let go of that rope a little bit and let them make their decisions and things. And so we pray a lot. We ask for divine guidance, and we rely on the training and rely on other people to come into those people's lives and to build on the foundation that we've tried to instill. The one last thing that we really try to do, a big part of our program, is to utilize our youth groups in our different churches. Each cottage selects they can go to we are a ministry of the Churches of Christ, and so but one cottage goes to the Apollo Church of Christ, one cottage goes to Robinson Center in Conway, one goes, so we don't, um, but we do that because these churches have youth groups, and that we want to get these children involved in youth groups so that they can have that social interaction, and that spiritual foundation. We send them to church camp. We send them to wilderness trek out in Colorado every year, where we take a group and they go climb a 14,000-foot mountain. That's always a big trip, and the kids that get to go are really, they come back as different people. It's a backpacking, they're hiking, and it's a Christian based outfitters, and that we use, and so. Um, it's nice to be able to say I've been through Christmas. I started in November 16th of last year, so I know what Christmas I can. I don't say I have to say what's supposed to be happening here. We know that we're going to go to Wayne Smith Trucking and pick up the Christmas gifts on Saturday, like we did last year. We're going to have different things, and hopefully, as we come out of this COVID year, that we start having more of our in-person parties and birthday parties monthly, and different things like that. We have a lot of support through our churches, through our communities, to mentor the kids, to have activities for the kids, um, and we've really been striving to update our campus. We have a gymnasium that we put in a new floor, and that's going to be a big deal for our house parents to be this winter to let the kids go, even if it's cold, wet, and rainy. They can go in there and play basketball, roller skate, um, do whatever. So, but it's a process, as you guys all know, and so. Any questions from anybody?
Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any questions just yet. If you do, feel free to put it in the chat or get back with me, and I'll make sure that they get back to Mr. Charlie Arnold. And Charlie, thank you so much for your time and sharing that information with us. So I'm trying to make it a point to be intentional about these provider calls. We do want to highlight the providers who are doing really well with their clients or their youth at their facilities. So if we see that, we would love to hear from you all so that you can share that information with other providers and maybe just give them a little bit of encouragement or some ideas, or maybe you can say, hey, we're doing that also. So just please let us know about that. And thank you again, Charlie. Okay, so we'll move on. I see that we have DCFS, we have Megan Bush and Bridget Williams available. And I just wanted to just check in with them both just to see if there's anything you all needed to share or discuss with the providers while we have them on call. Is there anything we need to bring attention to? Or from the providers, is there anything you need to address with the staff from DCFS?
Good morning. This is Bridget Williams. There is one question. I attend the monthly FFTA meeting with our TFC, Therapeutic Foster Care Providers. And one question came up about being licensed or being able to take more than one service at a time. So we told them we would get with licensing, and I think I sent an email, but it may have been a while back. We're just trying to see if a parent, let's say they're open as TFC, but then they need to open as provisional to take one of their family members, or having other youth in the home with a TFC child. I think that's a licensing regulation. And so we're trying to see how we can, I guess, work through that, because there are cases where, you know, they're open as TFC, one of their family members come in, and then they have to make a decision between a child that they've been working with and their own family. Or if they're TFC and they want to keep their other TFC children, but they would like to adopt one of the children. So I think DCFS, we're working through being open for more than one service, but a lot of times our providers say that, you know, we can't do it due to licensing. So can you kind of just clear that up for us?
This is what I'll do, just to make sure that I give you the most accurate information. If you don't mind, if you can put that in an email to me and let me check with our legal, and I can share that information with you.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bridget.
You're welcome.
Megan, was there anything that you needed to address?
Good morning, everyone. I don't have anything.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We also have team members from the regulatory check unit here, Ms. Kayla Bodi and Pamela Burton. Are there any outstanding issues that you guys are seeing that are reoccurring, or from the providers, are there any questions that you have for the regulatory check unit?
Thanks, Ebony. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm going to put our information in the chat box just so that you have contact information for our team. We don't have any updates or anything outstanding. All of our child welfare facilities are doing a great job. So just keep up the great work. We appreciate all of your hard work and working with our team to get regulatory checks done. So if you have any questions, all of our contact information is in the chat box. Feel free to give me a call anytime that you need any assistance, or if you have any questions later on, you can email me or call me and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Kayla. Pamela, do you have anything? Nope. Okay. There was one thing that I did want to mention, is concerning permissions to work with children. And just for the providers, if you need to take an applicant before the board for a permission to work with children, when the licensing specialist or the staff sends you out the information on what is needed to appear before the board, if you could please get that information back timely, that way we can ensure that you will be placed on the most upcoming or current agenda that is coming up. And so sometimes if you wait really late, then you can't get that person on the agenda. So I just wanted to make note of that. Okay. Also, I did want to talk about unannounced visits. Just to remind the providers that our licensing specialists can participate or do unannounced visits. We really recommend that they do unannounced visits. And so we did run into a couple of issues where a few of the providers were not so kind with our licensing specialists. And so we just wanted to remind you all that our licensing specialists can conduct an unannounced visit at your facility. If you find that our licensing specialists are not being professional in any way, or just really trying to rush you, or whatever the issue is, just please let us know so that we can address that, but they can participate in unannounced visits, okay? Anybody have any questions about that?
Hey, Ebony, I'm sorry. You mentioned something that reminded me real quick. I wanted to remind the congregate care providers that we contract with, QRTP and emergency shelters, background checks for your employees. Please ensure that all of your staff's background checks are up to date. And when you're serving DCFS kiddos, please remember that there is no such thing as provisional employment. All background checks have to be received and they have to be cleared in order to work with our kiddos. That's it.
Thank you. And then also moving forward, as far as July 28th, FBI checks have to be run on new applicants as well. So that goes across the board for all license holders. So please remember that. So that's for my staff as well, to be checking up on those FBI checks as well. So if you're having any issues with that, just please let us know. But according to Ms. Bodi, you guys are doing great. So please keep that up. Let me see. I did want to talk about just holiday depression, anxiety, and stress. So I was glad that Charlie was able to kind of talk about what his agency is doing for the youth at his facility. So from my understanding, the months of October through January, we tend to see an increase in depression and suicide attempts. And so I just wanted to hear from you all to see, have you noticed an uptick in any of that, or is there anything that you're doing to address any of that with your youth at your facilities? Or so can you kind of explain, like, what are you doing to kind of prevent that from happening? And anybody can go.
Well, here at Southern Christian Home, we have a new caseworker, and she is from DCFS family, as well as Anissa Ballou. And she has started not only talking to the children on a weekly basis, if not every other week, but she's also specifically talking to our house parents, not just about the kids, but just about them and their well-being, and to see how they are doing, to give them that another outlet for themselves. But we also talk about, because we have two cases that are going towards their permanency planning hearing, is one's this afternoon and the other one was last week or so. And so there's going to be a change in direction on their cases. And so we talked with our counselor about that. We are aware of that. So we are, the behaviors of the kids are showing that and things. So just being aware of that and talking about it in our meetings and talking with our counselor and seeing how one aspect where the house parents are seeing it from their perspective, our counselor is seeing it from her perspective, caseworkers, and we can put it all together and get a fuller picture of how everybody's doing.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? So just keep in mind that if you are able to just think of some inexpensive ways to help the youth enjoy themselves at their facility, or if they can leave your campus and go maybe to the Trail of Lights or something that's free, or some free activities like a free movie showing or anything like that, just please keep that in mind, because they are, or maybe not, missing their families or friends, or just, being in an environment that they were previously used to, not sure. But just please be intentional as we move through the holidays. Okay, so
Ebony, sorry, I couldn't
go
unmute
ahead.
myself.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I know that Cole and Justin, and the team here, have tried to really be focused on the holidays. You know, we have a lot of different holiday activities planned for the residents, including, I don't know if anybody's ever gone to the Fayetteville lights down, you know, by Dixon Street, but we try to do a lot of normalized holiday activities for them. We also plan a lot of activities during the actual holiday. We have staff members that we have special dinners, and so staff that are off duty might come in or do come in and have the special lunch or supper with them. So tons of activities. This is usually a difficult time for some of the residents, so appreciate the reminder that yes, we definitely need to really look at ways to normalize activities for the residents. And sadly, for some of our residents, maybe they haven't had many opportunities in the past to celebrate the holiday season. So we try to make it as normalized and fun as possible for the residents.
Okay, thank you, Ronissa. I think there was something in the chat. Okay, I missed it. Thank you for also mentioning your staff, Ronissa. Please keep them in mind, because of course we know that, you know, just being human beings ourselves, we go through many things that, you know, could affect them as they come to work. And so we don't want them to take any of those issues out on any of the children that they're serving. Something I was going to say. So just a second while I get my thoughts together. Austin, was there anything that you needed to discuss? This is Austin Clowers. He is our residential and PRTF supervisor. So many of you may have seen him, as he's been out to several of the facilities so far, and we really thank him for that. But I did just want to check with him to see if there was anything that I was missing.
Sure. Yes, I do have a few things. Good morning, providers. I have a few things to talk about. So in regards to our yearly updated items that we need, just a reminder, I know we have reached out to some of our psychiatric facilities, but for residential as well. We do need an updated fire inspection, health inspection. If you or if your organizational chart has changed or board of directors have changed, we need an update on that. As well as if you have, you know, insurance, your liability insurance, if that's updated, we need updated copies of those yearly. So if you can go ahead and send those in to your specialist, and if you don't know who your specialist is, you can reach out to me or Latoya or, you know, Shay or Ebony, and we'll be glad to point you the right direction to who your specialist may be on that. But just to keep our records in the clear here for the next year, just be able to get those provided. And also I wanted to talk as well about COVID cases. So we have seen a few COVID cases pop up in the past week or two. And so, we knock on wood that, and all my providers know when I go out there, I knock on wood, but knock on wood that, this is not starting to be a trend, and it's just more an isolated situation. But if you do have COVID cases, we do have to be informed of that, for either, an incident or it needs to be an incident report that comes to us, so we can alert, other people in our organization as well. So just make sure that if you do have any cases of COVID, to notify us as soon as possible on that, so that we can get that out to the right people. But other than that, I think that's all I have today, Ebony.
I know what it was. So we're going out doing record reviews, and I just want to say, thank you for those agencies who really have their files in order. We really do appreciate it. It makes our time much easier. On the other hand, it's a few providers that maybe you could spend just a little bit more time on getting those a little bit more organized. We would definitely appreciate it, and it will save time from us being in your facility. So just keep that in mind. we do have a new staff member, Mr. Clayton, and I'll let him introduce himself because I don't want to mess up your last name. But he is currently going to be one of our PRTF licensing specialists. He's currently in training, but you all should see him more and more. So Clayton, if you don't mind, if you could introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Clayton DeBoer. Looking forward to working with you.
All righty. Shay, do you have anything that you need to discuss?
Yes, I would like to add, Austin mentioned about facilities submitting information about their COVID cases. Also, when you're reporting to us the number of cases you have, we need to know who you spoke with at the Arkansas Department of Health and also what information was provided from them. And that's it.
Shannon has her hand raised, Ebony.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I just have a question. Do you know when the new regulations are going to be coming out that specifically addresses the different changes about the background checks and the staff not being able to work until they're back and everything?
Okay, the new minimum licensing standards booklets may not be ready until we're thinking maybe June of next year, and I'm pushing it. Hopefully, we can get that sooner. But of course, we are monitoring for those new changes now, because we did send out alerts and kind of let the providers know of the changes, the legislative changes that have occurred. If you have any questions, if anybody has any questions or do not recall what the legislative changes were, just please shoot us an email. We can get those to you. So good question, Shannon.
Now, Ebony, this is Bridgett.
Mhm.
For DCFS providers, they have to be cleared now. So I just want to make that, I know that we're waiting on the legislative, but for DCFS, we don't do provisional. So it has to be cleared now before they can start work.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So our next Child Welfare Agency Review Board meeting is scheduled for December the 8th at 1:30 p.m. It will be here at the main DHS office and conference rooms A and B. And so if you have any questions about board, just please shoot us an email and we will let you all know. Does anybody have any other questions or any thoughts or comments? Is there anything we need to address as far as like licensing with your agency? Now would be a good time. Okay, Mr. Charlie Arnold did put his email address. It's charlie@schhome.org. If you have any questions or just want to know more about what his agency is doing, feel free to give him an email. This is being recorded, and so we'll place this on the website as well, or let you know where you can find it. So with that, if you don't have any other information, thank you all for your time. Have a great holiday. Please be safe and be mindful when you're thinking of the kids for this season. Have a great day.